the old world, Neo. The world that you thought was full of victims, people that did nothing. The world where the people within it asked each and every day of their lives, when is the rest of the world going to be awakened to the truth? When is the rest of the world going to get it? That is the world you used to know, Neo. That world only exists. You're living in a dream world, Neo. All of this is a simulation. The so-called social ills of your world, the rape, robbery, theft, cruelty, the suffering that human beings inflict on human beings, it's indicative of a level of consciousness that exists on this planet. Those that don't see this aren't even aware that there's something wrong with this way of life. They're barely in the conversation. They've barely begun to wake up. We each have our own journey in this awakening to what is reality, what is happening, what is taking place, and where are we? What kind of a hell domain is this? Where the symbols of power are everywhere, where we can see evidence of the same powerful group throughout time and throughout time. Roxanne, what the fuck? And we have the Nag Hammadi text, which talks about the Old Testament God being the demiurge, the demon of this world. And I've always felt, and I've always been called crazy. I have always been called misled for being able to see things that others can't see. The propaganda, the subliminals, the role Lady Gaga is there to play, all of this propaganda, it's a responsibility that I have to at least say something and be honest about what I see in a world where most people are selling themselves out. They're selling others out. They're selling shit to people that they don't need. They're selling their fucking ass every second of every day as they slave away to get another fucking dollar to live in this fucking nightmare of a matrix while they prostitute themselves and kick others to the curb and don't conform to the rules of this dark demiurge world. Demiurge. The demiurge, to say it properly, is the equivalent of the Christian Satan, and I can see the influence of the archonic world in relationships, the way women have been turned against men, and the way some men have sought to control women, how they've used the women as sex toys, as puppets, as pleasure things, and how the women in this world of evil are conditioned to play along with that matrix, to play along and wear the skimpy outfits, to use their body to get them things, completely disconnected from even those they're having sexual contact with on a soul level, because the soul has become a frightening thing. Feelings and emotions have become frightening things. Intimacy has become a frightening thing. However, the idea of what goes around comes around, that is not a frightening thing. That is not a well-known understanding. We see Namaste. We see these different memes around us coexist. We see the bumper sticker for the current president. How many people are truly in touch with their higher selves that can see the archonic influence over all of this, over all its materialism? And so someone asked me to talk more elaborately on the satanic themes of Portland. This constant competition, the constant driving around on these pagan ley lines, giving our energy, sitting in traffic at these spots, it's like we're being sucked. It's like our souls are being sucked or fed upon simply by being in these environments where the energy isn't very high. I am driving right now on Hawthorne and Southeast 11th, trying to keep my focus while in traffic. I can easily get distracted by other drivers because they see I have a camera, they see I'm talking about something, they wonder whether I'm on the cell phone or not. They're wondering if maybe they can hear what I'm saying if they tune in. But I look, nonetheless, straight ahead and continue what I am discussing without breaking focus. We have to break out of the conditioning as men and as women to slave away to our senses, our orgasms, what makes us come, what gets us off, what makes us horny. It was designed this way. It was designed this way. We were designed as men and women to be turned on by certain things and live a life and procreate other copies of ourselves that do the exact same bullshit that we did ourselves. This is why you see adults act like children in so many different ways. This is why sometimes the young are looked upon for wisdom and understanding. The new generations coming in that haven't already been propagandized by this world, either the dogma their parents gave them, the educational school system, which is really a prison, so people get to learn what it's like to live in a prison, so they act out prison-like behavior. We see the religious institutions, peer pressure groups, the mass media at large. It has all affected men and women in this archonic realm, and there are different ways mankind has been affected. There is the world itself and the state that it is in. That's one level. Physically, vibrationally, spiritually, where people are at psychologically around us. All of these things are very, very important to understand. How we are affected by our environment. By understanding how we're affected by our environment and identifying the programs that exist, then we can deprogram. But we've got to be honest that there's a program in us. We got to be honest where our buttons are pushed and we are led like rats in certain directions. You know, look at this whole Occupy thing and the meme of 99%. What the fuck? Less than 1% of the human population actually thinks for themselves. No, buddy, I ain't talking to you. Keep looking behind you, though. People can feel it when my energy is on, when I am activated. They can feel it for miles. I have an effect on this reality. There's no accident to my birth. There's no accident why I'm in the situation that I'm in. I'm supposed to find my own power in this. And I'll show people, even if I am living on the streets, I will still produce information and share ideas that can unlock doors that previously were unknown. This will continue. The way of the Gnostic will continue. Through so many that are alive today, this is not about me. And this is not just about you. And this is far more than anything to do with survival of the body. This is about our soul. And this is about ascending to a higher state of mind, reality, consciousness. I don't even know if we even have a word for it. I'm sorry if that music was annoying. I wasn't really listening. We'll do a little Mexican, huh? You hungry? You feeling like tacos? Wish I could take you out for lunch. Maybe next year. Maybe after I make $1 million. What would you do with $1 million? I know what I would do. I would move out in the desert. I would get a lot of property, and I'd have my boys and girls out there, so to speak, my family, my peeps. I'd screen people really well. We'd do an independent community, but we would not all bunk together. We're not all going to use the same kitchen. We're not all going to use the same bathroom. I'd like to have like my own palace, my own kingdom, where things are set up, and we create alternative media in the underground, and we distribute it across the planet, worldwide, translated, multiple languages, including Hispanic. Spanish. My time spent in Mexico, ladies and gentlemen, is very limited. You're gonna have to bear with me. We're gonna go on default right now, which is 89.1. It's KMHD, the jazz station. Yeah. Anyway, they're kind of having a monotone moment at the moment. It does get better. We're stuck behind a TriMet bus. Here we are in Portland. Everything's slowed down, energy constrained, the perception of limited resources. Okay, well there are some limited resources, limited space. You know, and I think we could find a solution to that if they really wanted to. No, it's about things being monetized. and making our desires, things that we like to do, and somehow have it merge with the monetary system so we can have all this. Yeah, that's the Portland lifestyle. That's the ticket. Channel 21 all the way, baby. Just Google micro apartments, Portland, Oregon. Yeah, get your own micro apartment complex today. This is a former Nature's, former Whole Foods. They're going to make this a gym at one point. This area has sat dormant for quite a while. So they're just now getting around to this. And this neighborhood has certainly been through a lot of changes. So let's return to our topic. When the modern woman, when the modern man, we really should focus on each of these, but we'll put them together, rises above their primal urges to procreate with a certain type. Women, by and large, have been programmed to procreate and be with a certain type of male. On a sexual level, therefore, that is dominance in decision-making when it comes to relationships, because it's really about intimacy. It really is about the bedroom and having a little bit of pleasure in your life. Other things may seem important to you. You may verbalize that certain things are important to you. The emotional needs, the other, wanting to be heard. When it comes down to brass tacks, when it comes down to how people are actually living, it's actually about how they're being pleasured in another area and whether another part of their mind is being fed. And so some women like a man to take control, to be really dominant in all aspects of the relationship. And if certain needs are met and they're enjoying it, or they've been programmed to enjoy that type of experience, I don't see that soul evolving beyond this physical realm. Now we look at the men. Men live in a unique world where it's considered normal for women to be sex objects, to be on the billboards, to be constantly bombarded with advertising. Look here, oh, buy now, using the woman to attract the man, to entice the man in order to buy. Call to action. It's sickening. I would call it satanic. They're using the image of this female human to sell things with money, the god of this world. And women are now in a world where they're racing against other women to be put somewhere in the system to where their beauty can help them make money so they can survive. And now, with women's independence and things like that, it doesn't always come with the so-called independence, more freedom for them if they have to slave away at a job to earn more resources to pay their taxes. It's a very sad situation that they have been thrown in. I feel very sorry for women in today's world that are living under these conditions. I have great feelings for the younger generation coming up that are probably looking at this world going, what the fuck is this? What kind of world did we incarnate, or whatever word you're comfortable with? What kind of world were we born into?
Modern jazz chorus.
And how can the words be found to prevent future generations and current generations from offing themselves or offing others when faced with the brutal pain that this world can bring? Some sort of context is needed. Some sort of clarity is needed. A message to the children. We tried to stop things with the tools that we had at our disposal. But still, the world ended up the way that it was because the majority votes for how things are. And I don't mean voting at the ballot box. I'm talking about the majority and how they create their intentions, the intentions that they put out to the universe. That creates the overall reality. That creates the reality of what the street looks like. That creates the reality, depending on how they want to organize things with the city and the people, for how hard that concrete is, how often it's paved. Everybody plays a part in this reality. Everybody plays a part in how their house is going to look. Whether there's going to be plants outside or gardens outside or just fancy flowers that really have no use on the dinner table. See, everybody plays a part, whether they want to actually use the curb in their neighborhood and grow things. So it's not just more lawns. Everybody plays a part. But do we really just want to allow a stop sign to be there, or do we want to have our own sign? Do we want to have our own message on that sign? Or is that sign just for the few? See, every neighborhood you'll see unique attributes. You'll see unique expressions of action and reaction in all the different ways. And you'll see different patterns. Certain neighborhoods, you'll see a similar type of car, a newer type of car, a similar shade of skin tone. You'll see a lack of certain people, of certain bloodlines or skin tones in other areas or places in occupation. Humanity itself is constantly co-creating a very unfair world based on physical appearances, where men and women are literally prostituting in some way, shape, or form every single day. And it's all a matter of survival and getting enough Federal Reserve notes so you can make it to the next day. But where is their soul in that? It seems like there's life in that, but survive for what? Why do we breathe? Why do we get up in the morning? Why are we in this human experience at this great, great moment in time? People should not steal from others. See, here's this guy here. He's gonna look and see if there's any tickets. Anybody? People should not steal from others. So the city of Portland is trying to collect on a parking ticket. And that parking ticket comes up as default. They will tow your vehicle. The evolving man is not so easily tempted by the ass of the day. He's not. He can think about more things other than how to please his member. Okay? Sex, people are addicted to it like heroin. Physical things, sensations, vanity. Then this is the land of it. This is the land of sin in that regard. Self-worship. Self-goddess worship. Oh, look at me. I'm a princess. My vagina can attract more gold than your vagina. And the ways that women are different. Heavier set women versus women that have great bodies. Their personalities are so different. Most of the women with great bodies, they're using that. Oh, I gotta work that. And those that don't have that to lean on, oh, all of a sudden they're more human now. They're curious about the Matrix. They're curious about our true origins. They're curious about the conspiracy. Oh, because they can't rely on their bodies second to second to get them trinkets and baubles. They have to find meaning for life some other way. All right, so we've got a hybrid vehicle here. And they are everywhere here in this area. They are everywhere. They are duplicating. Hybrid vehicles aren't cheap. So, you know, the people that really need the discounting gas, people like myself, yeah, we get like 20 miles to the gallon. And I rarely drive as much as I did just now. That's just for the video. I'm going to go ahead and stop here and upload at the library. But, you know, it's just, the world isn't fair. It's an Archon world, and things have been inverted. The goal is not to kill yourself. The goal is to evolve as a soul anyways, and to somehow just get out of here. Don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. What you say? So I understand. Man, we got sentenced to doing time on Earth. I know that it's not easy, and it doesn't always make sense, but it's all for a reason. And throughout time, you've always had the street poet, you've had the seer, you've had the prophet, you've had the shaman. It's not about ego, but it's about more and more of humanity, fractals of humanity, activating. Those that do have it in their genes to speak to the spirit world, to bring messages from the other side. We will always be facing darkness in our family relationships and elsewhere in the world that tells us we are not spiritual and we have no power and we have no influence. And we just need to get back into line. Everything will be all right. We need to override those temptations back to the dark side and truly align with who and what we are. Face the consequences, walk through the fire, and rise above it. Show an example to others suffering, others going through the same experience, trying to understand why they are what they are, why they're going through this. On deeper levels, why they understand what they're understanding, why they're seeing these puzzle pieces coming to them through synchronicity that are explaining the larger picture of the world. If you seek the truth and ask the questions, the truth will present itself at the right time when you're ready for it. Each and every time, throughout each chapter of my life, there's a certain sequence in which the truths and sub-truths present themselves to me. Okay. Having talked about that a little bit, The sun's coming out. There's been a lot of chemtrails that have been sprayed over Portland in the last week. So I really appreciate those moments where it's a clear sky. It's a beautiful moment. I take a deep breath and I just appreciate the moment. And we're on 39th and Hawthorne. Belmont. Yeah. So much more to talk about. But the most important thing, and we'll keep talking about it, is the need to override our primitive primal senses as men and women. For women, it's mostly to not listen to those genes that keep telling you to be with that controlling man, person, institution, just because there's stability there. Just because you think you can run to it when the other wolves in the jungle come after you, when you feel that you're in danger and Lassie's not there to protect you. Turn to the system. Turn to, the larger brutal gang to defend